You don't often hear that message from the spouse of the candidate, which is basically like, my husband, not your first choice, but not so bad.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Joe Biden and his wife, Jill Biden. Now, I can't tell who's the bigger gaffe machine. Is it Joe Biden, who's basically been stumbling and bumbling throughout this entire campaign process, or is it his wife, Jill, who came out on the trail for a brief moment and tried to defend him? Now, before we even get into that, let's check out the clip from Miss Jill Biden, and then you'll see exactly why I asked that question. She tried to defend him here, and in my humble opinion, and in the opinion of many others, she failed miserably. After we get done with that, I'll talk about what she said, give you my 2 cents, my analysis, then I wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
So yes, your candidate might be better on, healthcare than Joe is. But you've got to look at who's going to win this election. And maybe you have to swallow a little bit and say, okay, I sort of personally like so-and-so better. But your bottom line has to be that we have to beat Trump. You may like another candidate better, but you have to look at who is going to win. And if education is your main issue, Joe is that person for you.
Okay, so you saw that. You see what's going on. Now, what in the world was that? I'm watching the news this morning and it just kind of came on. I'm like, what was that? I'm like, who is that talking? I'm thinking it's like some kind of random person on the campaign trail. Like, I'm thinking they just went to the crowd and just asked somebody, because when I heard it, I was not watching the television, so I couldn't see who that was or the context of the situation. I'm just hearing the voice, and they're talking about Joe Biden, I suppose. I kind of guess that's who that was, talking about, oh, you got to swallow a little bit. And talk about that right quick. That was very inappropriate. I'm not really sure where that came from in your mind, like why you went there. Why can't you just say accept? Or because really what she was trying to say, without saying it and using some really inappropriate language to do so, she was trying to say basically settle for my husband. All right. I know he's not really good. I know he's out there stumbling and bumbling. I know he's not been a good politician. He's been trying to become president since the 1980s and has not been successful yet. He became the vice president, and that's fine. That's great, but he should stop right there. You're 77 years old. You've not been successful at trying to become the president. Why, oh, why would you be successful right now? She's basically saying, look, vote for my husband because you don't want Donald Trump. Yeah, I know he's not really that good, but oh well. If your own wife can't give you a ringing endorsement, then why would I vote for you? I mean, that's the worst right there. You got people that are on your own team, not just her, but his actual campaign team. They're trying to keep him low and they don't want him to be a gaffe machine. They got to put out statements trying to defend him. And they look crazy when they're on TV doing it. Simone Sanders, the whole squad, they're doing all kind of crazy linguistic gymnastics to try and come up with words to explain what's going on with this guy. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what time it is. He doesn't know what's going on. He's talking about truth over facts. I mean, he's not all the way there. Now, I will say some people have these quote unquote gaffes. Joe Biden had been known for having these gaffes throughout his time as a vice president and before that when he was in Delaware, going all the way back to the 70s. But it wouldn't be a gaffe as far as saying the wrong thing, like accidentally, you understand? Before, he would say things very clearly, very directly. He wouldn't like be aloof mentally. He would say a thing with fervor, with, like he would say it with his chest, so to speak. It wouldn't be like an accident, but then he would regret it later. Oh, I offended somebody, I'm sorry. That would be the gaffes he had done in the past that he was known for. They're going to put y'all back in chains, that kind of stuff. But now he's just not really there. The lights are on, but ain't nobody home. The elevator's not going all the way to the top floor. In previous times, the elevator would be on top of the floor and he'd be on there dancing, like not really wearing no clothes. And then be like, oh, I'm sorry, my fault. I didn't know I could do that. But in reality, he did it intentionally. He planned to do it. And then people said, you can't do that, Joe. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Now it's just nothing is really connecting all the way. So maybe Jill Biden has the same thing going on. I'm not sure how old she is or what her health is like, but that was really cringy, to say the least. I mean, I heard that. I'm like, wow, really? Like, the whole campaign is not doing very well, which begs the question, how can anybody from the left win? I mean, really? Okay, Joe Biden is leading candidate by double digits right now. Double digits. Now, I think it's because he can generate the most revenue, not because he's the best candidate. That has a lot to do with it. A lot of these pollsters, people that come out with these numbers, they'll look at it based on money that is being able to be brought to Washington, D.C. That's pretty much the long and short. You know, he'll be the best person to be able to raise money right now for the Democratic Party, for the DNC. Your Kamala Harris, your Cory Booker, they can do okay. Pete Buttigieg, they can do okay, but they're not really well-known names like Joe Biden is. He has the cachet. He was the vice president. He's an old guy, been in politics for a very long time. Whereas a guy like Pete Buttigieg, the mayor of South Bend, how does that make you even be in the running? What have you accomplished? He was in the military, and that's good, but what have you done aside from that? You understand? Like, your experience ain't there. Why would you be the president? Because you're gay, you're married to a man? Okay, that's fine, and who cares? That's your business. What does it got to do with the actual federal government and being able to run it effectively? Kamala Harris, spotty background. Cory Booker, shady background. Who else? The guy from El Paso, what's his name? Beto O'Rourke, a.k.a. Bobby Frank, Robert Francis O'Rourke, apologizing every time he talks. That's the same thing going on with Joe Biden. The Democrats have painted themselves into a corner with all this identity politics, or you can't be a white male anymore and become the president. You can't be white and talk about racial things. If you're white, you can't say certain things that may be offensive. You can't say gang. You can't say color. You can't say this. You can't say that. And I think at this point, the Democratic Party has passed Joe Biden by. He's trying to catch up with the whole situation. It was something he apologized for that he had supported for a very long time. I think there was a Hyde Amendment. He apologized for that, and he had been supporting it for a long time. And people said, obviously, he's apologizing for it right now because he's trying to become the president. And then I think Simone Sanders, his campaign chair or advisor, whatever she is, she was like, well, he talked to people, got into their space, and he changed his mind. It's like, come on. This man's 77 years old. You think he just changed his mind overnight? Come on, be for real. Once you get to be that age, you pretty much have yourself set in stone for the most part, especially since you are a politician, you're running as a Democrat, and you've been running the exact same way since the 70s, since civil rights. You were around when Martin Luther King was around. You probably were at the Million Man March in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? And you probably already had the full beard at that point in time. That's how old he is. Not trying to say anything against anybody that's elderly. Don't get that twisted. All I'm saying is that he's been in Washington for a long time. He's been in politics for a long time. And the question has to be asked, what has he accomplished? Okay, what has he built even as a name? All that he has as a name is the fact that he was the vice president of Barack Obama. That is it, and that is all. Your whole life, you've been able to live and be in politics and be in D.C. That's all you got to your name, and you're going to become the president, and you can barely get through a town hall. You can barely talk. You looking like you're about, you got 1 foot in the proverbial grave. It's time to call it a wrap. Unfortunately, he is the leading person, and his wife is trying to help him. God bless her, but it just ain't really worked too well. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Joe Biden has a chance of becoming the president in 2020? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or does he not have a chance? Is it because he's a terrible candidate and Trump is the better candidate? Or is it because he's a terrible candidate and Trump is nowhere near as bad as him? I think that Trump is not a perfect person, but he's better than most candidates I've seen over the past, I don't know how many years, probably throughout my entire life. You know, and who can actually match that? Who can match that? I think the only one that could be on par with Trump is Reagan, that I was alive during. You know, I'm 35 in September. So Reagan was probably the best in my lifetime. Before that, you know, that's up for grabs. That's up for discussion. But, you know, I don't see Slick Willie being better than Trump, Barack Obama, W1, or anybody. I don't see any of them being better than Trump. Okay. Now, if that's the case, how are you going to have Joe Biden come in there when his own wife can't even say, vote for him, he's the best? whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.